Hello everyone, and welcome to Modernizing Old Hymns number 14. Now, a few lessons ago, I put a problem to you. What if you're playing a guitar and you need to play along with somebody who's playing on a keyboard, and the hymn is an E flat? That is a difficult key to play on the guitar. Is there anything you can do? Well, yeah. To start with, I picked a hymn that is in the key of E flat. It's hymn number 343 in the Lutheran hymnal. How lovely shines the morning star. There are, in fact, 7 hymns in the hymnal that use this melody. I picked this one because it's a translation of the original German. So, what are we going to do? Well, the key of D is just half a step lower. So let's transpose this to the key of D. Changing the key can also be called transposing. So, here's what we've got to do. I printed it out in E flat here. Now you want to do this on a separate sheet of paper, but I'm going to do this in red today so you can see a little more easily what I'm doing. Here's the first note, E flat. I'm going to change that to D. This one I'll have to lower a step too, because the step of D is just half a step lower than the key of E flat. So here we go. I'll have to lower that B to an A. The G, it's actually B flat. E down to an F. It's going to look the same. This will go down to a D again. Here we got to go down to an A. Here we got to go down to a B. Here we've got to go down to a B, of course, and down to an A. And you'll have to go through the whole song like this. Yes. Of course, we changed the key signature as well. The key signature is an F sharp and a C sharp in the key of D. All right, and we'll also have to change the chords. This will become a D chord. I'm writing at a funny angle here, excuse me. This will get lowered to an A chord. This will get lowered to a G. And again, B flat goes to an A. And yeah, you have to go through the whole hymn like this. Imagine what it'd be like having to transpose all 4 parts, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Yeah. But if you just transpose this one here, in the end it should look like this. Pull that back a little further. If you write it out by hand or use a computer to print it like I did. There we go. And a couple by the ways here. You see there's a half rest here, 2-beat rest. And there's another one right here that's 4 full beats of rest. I don't think most people play it that way. They skip those rests. If the organist played it that way, there would be 4 beats of nothing, and everybody would wonder, what happened to the organist? Is something wrong? Okay. I wrote just a 3-chord arrangement of this hymn to make it easy. I could have put more in, and the hymnal certainly does, except for one right over here. Okay, this is the climax of the song right here. So I put, instead of putting a D chord there, I put a B minor chord there, and it'll really emphasize that note. One thing you can do to make this easier, if you've got your ear trained to pick out the chords, is just transpose the melody and then go through and pick out your chords, which one sounds best. Now, transposing by hand like that is pretty tedious work. It's easy to make a mistake. You're wondering, is there an easier way to do this? And yes and no. Okay, what I've got on my computer here is a program. It's a free download for PC, for Mac, for Linux. It's not available for Android, but you may be able to find a similar app there at Play Store. There are online programs to do this as well, but they usually require a subscription fee, and I'm afraid it's not cheap. But here the hymn is. I wrote it out in E flat just the way it is because I can copy it right from the hymnal. I'm less likely to make a mistake. I've got the chords in here, and then all I have to do is go up to notes here on this particular program, transpose, and here I can change the key to whatever I want. Is D still too hard for you to play? How about C? Okay, the key of C has no sharps or flats. There it is, C major or A minor. And if I click on this button and I press OK, it will change not only the melody notes for me, but all the chords as well, correctly as they should be. So here we go. There it is in the key of C. Okay, notice the first note got lowered from E flat to C. The chord got changed to C. Oh, it's quite a bit easier if you know how to do it. This is a very complicated program, and it takes a while to get the hang of it, to learn just what to do with it. But not only is it free, but yeah, you can see it turns out a really nice looking piece of music. When you print it off, it really looks professional. Okay, now we've still got a problem here. The keyboard player has got the hymn in front of them in the key of E flat. You're playing in the key of D, or maybe C, as I just showed you. Playing in two different keys at the same time is going to sound terrible. So here's what we can do. If you're playing the song in the key of D, a lot of you are probably familiar with this already, but I can take what's called a capo, put it on at the first fret, and now all the strings sound as if they're half a step higher. So if I play in D, it'll sound like it's an E flat. And problem solved, almost. Let me give you a little tip here. Capos can pull down on the strings in a funny way. So put the capo on first and then tune up with the keyboard player, or you might be a little bit off. Now, reasons for raising or lowering the pitch. Which should you do? If you plan on using a capo to help you, you want to lower the pitch because capos can only raise the pitch. So lower it so you have room to adjust the pitch as you need to later. Another reason for changing the key is to make it easier to play. Another reason is for congregational singing, you're generally better off lowering the pitch. Many people complain that the hymns in the hymnal are too high for them to sing. I've even heard people theorize that we have lower voices today than people years ago had, and I don't believe that. See, in the old days, people used to sing louder. And if you sing louder, you can sing higher. Try it sometime. You might surprise yourself. to raise or lower the pitch. If you play solos using your thumb as the lead to play the melody, then you might be better off lowering the pitch. Other reasons to raise or lower the pitch are to complement a soloist's voice. What if you're playing along with somebody who's singing, and the person has a high voice? What do? You probably raise the pitch then. What if you're playing along with someone who has a low voice? Then it is a good day to lower the pitch. You do it to complement the person's voice. Where do they sound the best? Another reason to raise or lower the pitch is to complement the voice of your instrument. Does your instrument sound better in a different key? A lot of instruments, as you play higher and higher, they get kind of a scratchy or squeaky noise to them. So that's something to take into consideration too. For most instrumentals, I usually raise the pitch, and I raise it considerably. I'll show you an example of that. Okay, now here I've raised the song all the way up to the key of G. Okay, not only is G an easy key to play in, but here's one of my tricks for doing solos for the guitar. The highest note that's easy to play on the guitar is that high G. Okay, and if you want to go higher than that, you generally have to resort to bar chords. So I consider that the easiest note. That's what I'm striving for here. And well, let's see what we can do with that on the guitar now. Okay, again, here's the G chord. And that note your little finger on is the highest note that's easy to play. If you want to go higher, you generally have to use bar chords. Because we have so many strings freed up below, remember a problem we had in the past. Sometimes we could only play just one string because we ran out of strings. We've got that problem solved now. In fact, we have so many strings left over, we can play this hymn with a 4-finger pick. Okay? The 3 fingers you'll be using, plus your thumb, are ring finger, middle finger, and index finger. And you assign each one to a string. If I can get in here so you can see, but I'm going to play the highest string with my ring finger, second string with my middle finger, yeah, and third one with the index finger, and the thumb will play the bass. And we'll start by pinching with the thumb and the ring finger this time. And so we start with that pinch, then get the index finger on its string, then the middle finger on its string, index again, Now, we've got so many strings open yet that we can actually move those strings down. You can see now I'm playing these 3 strings. I'll use the same pattern. And we even have enough strings open that I can move them down one more. Play these 3 strings. Matter of fact, when we start playing this hymn, we'll be in this low position here. Now, it's traditional on the guitar to use those 4 fingers. Don't tell your guitar teacher I showed you this, but you can still use just 3 fingers and it'll sound the same. Pinch with your middle finger like we have before, and then just move your 2 fingers over a string. and it sounds the same, doesn't it? There's really quite a bit you can do with just 3 fingers. Okay, I'm trying to hold this close so you can see the position of my fingers here. I'm going to play the first 3 lines so you can watch here. Then I'll show you the sheet music. I'm going to pinch every time I change a chord this time, but we start in that very low position, the 3 fingers here, except for one string, which is the bass string. And now we have to go up to that D. I'll play that on the 2nd string with my little finger. Take the little finger off to play the B. And move your 3 fingers over a position. And we play the D chord. I had to double up on a couple of those strings there. We still don't have quite enough strings. C, and we're playing the highest note, so move those fingers up. Move them down, one position again. C in that high position again. Now the D chord. And that high G note. Back to the D again. C again. And play the D with your fingers moved over one position. Okay, C in the high position again. Back to the 2nd position again. Couple quarter notes here, C chord. And back down to that real low position again. Okay, here's the sheet music. I'm going to play the next 3 lines starting at measure 11. They're exactly the same as the first 3 lines. Start in that low position again. Pinch up with that D chord. Continuing to measure 22 there. That eye-looking thing above the note is called a fermata. It means you should hold it considerably longer than just one beat. Now I'll play that E minor, and my little finger will have to play that high G. Okay, now that this song is in the key of G, and the key of G is easy for us guitar players to play, we can try some of our hottest licks on this. What I'm going to do is whenever I see a half note, a 2-beat note, I'm going to play this strum pattern. And when I see a quarter note, I'm going to play this pattern. So here we go. I'll jump from the third line down to measure 22 again, since that's a repeat, but this is what it's going to sound like. Now that version I just played is definitely not a singing version. It's way out of voice range. Either you've got to have a very high voice, filling all the heavenly places, or you've got to have a very low voice, filling all the heavenly places. On one version, I was kind of screeching. On the other version, I was getting down in the gravel with that low note. So something to keep in mind there. And if I didn't practice singing every day like I do, I probably wouldn't have been able to hit that high note or that low note at all. So practice singing. It pays off. One more footnote here, let me show you, is this is something called ABC notation. You can find it at abcnotation.com. And it takes a while to learn it. But if you learn it, you don't need any special software. You type it up like this. You kind of see it's got the hymn number at the top with the X, the title of the hymn, the composer, the key is in the key of G, the meter is 4/4 time, and one beat for every quarter note as I've written it. The chords are in quotation marks, and the rest are the notes and the length of the time. The Z stands for a rest. And then you can take that text. There's a couple of websites where you can punch it in, and the computer will print it out for you as regular music, just like we've been using so far. With either program you use, either that fancy MuseScore program or the ABC notation, if you don't print it perfectly, technically correct, it won't print. The computer will give you an error message. Yeah, sounds like another good reason to me for playing by ear. Yeah, don't worry about the sheet music so much. Now, one of the things you might have heard me do there is what's this? That's called a sustained chord. It's not something new, it's actually something very old, and the hymnal is full of them. So next time, let's get a look at sustained chords. Thank you for watching.